Folks, what we're facing here is a weekend, and we're gonna make the most of it. Every single minute of this weekend. We're gonna show this weekend who's boss. We're gonna figure out how to take advantage of every minute of it. We're gonna cook more, we're gonna design more, and we're gonna plant more. And when we're finished, we're gonna show this weekend who's boss. So are you people with me? Well, maybe I've gone a little overboard. Come on, let's get started. Before we go any further, I'd like to thank our sponsors. The garden tours are made possible by Gilbert H. Wild & Son, who've been growing beautiful perennials since 1885. First Community Bank, whose heart is in the community, as well as Sunpatiens, SuperCal Petunias, and Dragon's Breath Celosia, and Crystal Bridges, Museum of American Art. Check out my website to learn more about the brands we love. Come here, little devil. You know, the weekend is a great time to hit yard sales. You can't believe the bargains you can find. I've rummaged through a lot of them and found some great stuff. A lot of people would call it junk, but the mother of them all is the garage sale called Bargains Galore on 64.
Bargains Galore on 64 is a group of antique collectibles and junk sellers that the second weekend of every August they gather on Highway 64 between BB and Fort Smith, Arkansas, and vend their wares to the public.
Bargain Galore on 64 is
great. I look for the bargain buy.
She's the
bargain hunter right here. I'm like a kid in a candy store right now. There's so much out here. And this is my favorite
That's
item.
her favorite.
A nice jacket for $1.
That's her favorite.
It's an annual thing. They do it every August. You'll find everything from old rusted out antiques to parts of things to new things with new sheets. You'll never find just anything. It's people scattered from all the way from Searcy to Van Buren, and there's going to be something along that way. And that's the fun of it, talking to the people. Well, there's some magnificent stories to be heard.
Yeah, I'm trying to get somebody to start themselves a marching band. I have a lot of hats here, and I have some uniforms.
To be a vendor, all you have to do in Morrilton is contact the sponsorship agency, and we will rent you a 20-foot space on Highway 64 to vend your wares.
All the fellas go. All the fellas go.
All the honeys go. All the honeys go. Hey baby girl, looks like you got talent, got a superstar bankroll. Go ahead and count it. I got money, got some cars, got some homes, got some clothes. Swagger from my head right down to my toes. I'll get wild, I'll get wild. Come up to the spot, I'll get wild. Do it, turn the camera on, let's get wild. Fill off what you want, just my style.
Hello, girls, come on. So when you hear someone say living large, sometimes you think, well, they're implying living a bold and extravagant life. Well, for me, it's really about taking what you have or what you do and getting large with it and having some fun. You see, I always enjoy having family and friends over, and I'm always looking for ways to entertain them without busting the budget. So in today's show, I thought we might take a look at some ideas that are small on investment, but large on the living. So why don't we get started? When you're trying to feed a family on a budget, growing some of your own food just makes a lot of sense. Now let's talk about a really sweet idea, blackberries. You love blackberries? I love blackberries. I grow lots of them. Just look at these beauties. What's amazing about the blackberry plant is that a single plant, well, it'll cost you about 20 bucks, but it will produce up to 12 pounds of berries once it's fully mature. And that depends on some growing conditions, but just think about that, 12 pounds per plant. Now, if you go to the produce department in the grocery store, you'll find blackberries in those little 6-ounce packages, fresh. Those run about 6 bucks a piece. To get 12 pounds of those at 6 bucks for one of those little packages, you're talking around $200. Okay, it's easy to see the financial benefit, but there are other benefits as well. For instance, getting kids involved in the garden. This particular variety of blackberry is called Arapaho. I love it because it's thornless and, as I've already mentioned, produces a lot of blackberries, which is going to really get the kids excited. As you can see, growing some blackberries is a pretty sweet deal all the way around. You know, learning a few self-defense moves can come in handy for anyone. So in today's show, I thought we'd take a look at some fighting moves that will help protect some of the things around your home and garden. Now don't worry, these fighting moves are things to help protect your trees or your furniture. Hey, and I'll even share some ideas to protect you in case of the zombie apocalypse. So don't go away. We'll get started as soon as I take care of some of these pesky bugs in my garden. You know, I like animals, I love animals, but there's some animals that can become pests. And if you've ever had raccoons around your house, or squirrels, or even a skunk, you may want to figure out a way to get rid of them. Now, I don't like to kill animals, but I do like to repel them, especially the 3 I just named. And this recipe that I'm putting together here is quite a little concoction. It's a traditional concoction that has worked for many people over the decades, and what it involves is just some basic natural ingredients that you can pick up at the grocery store. It starts with 2 quarts of water that you're going to bring to a boil like this. Then just take 1 yellow onion, and you just want to mince it up. You're not going to eat this, so don't worry. Just chop it up like this and add it to the water. Next, take a jalapeno pepper, chop it up the same. Little tip on chopping up jalapenos, don't rub your eyes after this. Make sure you wash them. Throw the jalapeno in there. If you want to really give these little varmints a run for their money, add 2 of them. It's the seed in the jalapeno that can be really hot, so make sure the seed get in there as well. Then the final ingredient, cayenne pepper, 1 tablespoon. Okay, from here it's really easy. Believe me, you can smell it. You just want this to simmer for 20 minutes. So I'm gonna turn the heat down just a little bit. Here we go. Okay, now what I've done is I'm showing you what it looks like after you've strained it. And what you want to do is you just want to take some cheesecloth like this, and you just want to strain the pulp, the seeds, the stems, and that sort of thing from this brew. This recipe will make about 4 cups once you've strained all the pulp out. And what you want to do is just add it to a spray bottle like this, and add the little pump sprayer. And you're ready to go out and repel some varmints. Give it a try. So did you guys bring the goods?
That's what we're here for.
Good. Everybody know what's up next?
You sure you want to do this?
Think you're ready?
Let's do it.
All right. Good luck. Midsummer is the season where there are plenty of tomatoes and basil to harvest. So many varieties of tomatoes, as a matter of fact. I love the subtle differences in flavor in so many of the heirlooms. But what about a recipe that can combine all of these flavors of summer? It's easy and delicious. You'll want to start by laying out the puff pastry sheet onto a lightly floured surface. Then cut the sheet into 6 rectangles. Place the cut dough onto a lightly greased baking sheet and prick it with a fork. This will prevent it from rising. Then, in a preheated 400-degree oven, bake the pastries for about 10 to 12 minutes or until golden brown. Okay, so while that's all going on in the oven, take a 1.5 cups of loose leaf sweet basil and cut it into thin strips and combine it with 2 cups of cherry tomatoes halved. Now you can see here I'm using 2 different varieties. The more variety, the better in my opinion. Add to that 1/4 cup of olive oil and gently toss this, just adding some salt to taste. Now the next step here is to add some lovely locally produced goat cheese, although this is not so local because, well, Brent and Josh brought it from their farm in Sharon Springs, but it's so fresh. So I have 5 ounces of goat cheese here. Then I'm going to take a little goat's milk. And what I have here is about 1/2 cup. You may not need all of it, so I'm going to just start with about half, because what you want to do is make it very creamy. You can add some garlic. I love garlic. So this is 1 big clove of garlic that I just chopped up a few minutes ago. So I'm going to add this to it, and I'm just going to take a fork and I'm going to work the garlic and the goat milk and this fresh goat cheese all together like this. It's really beautiful and it smells so good. You can use a hand mixer if you want, but why bother? Just a fork works just fine. What you want to do is you want to get a consistency like this, sort of a peanut butter icing consistency. So I didn't really need to use all of that goat's milk. That's why I want you to use it sparingly. This looks about right. Now it's time to assemble these babies. Next, just take that mixture and evenly divide and spread it atop the cooked pastries. Then slice your large tomatoes about 1/2 inch thick and place them on top and bake the tart for about 5 minutes, maybe a little more if you'd like. Then place each tart on a plate and mound the cherry tomato and basil mixture on top. Then to bump up the presentation, just quarter some of those leftover tomatoes. Garnish them with some of the strips of basil, add some salt and drizzle it with oil. What a beautiful presentation. I'm so glad the guys brought goat cheese for my part of the challenge because there's so many great things you can make with it. And this is one of the easiest and most delicious things you can create. This is going to go over big time at the party. You should give it a try at home. Hey fellas, what you looking at?
I don't know, it's this cool new shrinking app that's supposed to... Uh-oh.
Whoa, I think I shrunk the boss.
Yeah, sorry Alan, we'll find a way to get you back to size.
Nah, don't worry about it. This is the perfect size since we're talking about all things mini today. Now Gary, this is a new trend in gardening that requires one to think very small, doesn't it?
Yeah, something you can put in nice tight spaces.
Yeah, I mean, these little fairy gardens can fit just about anywhere, can't they?
They work well on tabletops, balconies. It's a great thing for kids. We just don't grow plants, we grow gardeners.
Sure. Well, this is a great way to begin growing a gardener, isn't it?
Absolutely. At a young age, have them play in the garden. Let them design it with as they want, with little paths. Bridges and fairies and small little watering cans for the fairies to hold and water. We have nice miniature plants. Like this is actually a dwarf arborvite.
Right, little evergreens.
Yep,
here. Here's another one here.
These are true compact plants. This here is a cedar. It only gets to be max 5 feet tall.
So all of these little dwarf conifers work, and dwarf plants across the board work really well with fairy gardening. When did you here at Twin Pond Farms think, hey, we need to have fairy gardens?
It was several years ago, and I'm like, fairy gardens, really? I'm like, no, what is that about? And then We started out, and people really love it. The little kids absolutely enjoy having a small little garden that they built with mom and dad.
Sure, it's their own little project.
Own little project, and then as the season goes on, they can change stuff out and constantly being changed with colors and that stuff. It doesn't have to be solid as well at one point. And it's
Well, you're only limited by your imagination with
absolutely.
this.
And kids have an endless imagination.
Don't they though? So all of these different accessories now are available by coming to a garden center such as this, where you can begin to create these fantastical landscapes.
Absolutely, absolutely. It works out real well. There's an endless amount of options that they can do in different areas, whatever they can imagine and change.
So Gary, do you think this approach to gardening is something that's going to continue to grow?
Oh, absolutely. This is actually all we have left for this year. It flew off the shelves. It was very well.
Really?
Yeah, amazing.
On the wings of fairies, it flew off.
It really did. It really did. These kids loved it. Mom and dad were out there and playing in the garden, having a little area just for their kid to play with and do.
That's
it worked out real well.
Well, I have to say, you've pretty well convinced me that I need to have one of these up at my farm.
Absolutely. You'll love it. You really love it.
You guys are doing a great job. Keep up the good work, Gary.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for joining me in today's show, and I hope I've inspired you to go mini in some aspect of your life. Hey Chris, how about a little help down here?
Hey, yeah, what are you doing down there?
I just finished the mini show.
Oh yeah, well come on, let's get you back inside.
Hey, I'd like to go around the garden first. How about it?
Okay, all right.
You're great. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel and be sure to ring the bell for notifications.